today. So every day we start fresh because we can't affect the past, but we damn sure can make a difference today.
We are back with another episode of Shop Talk, and this week we're discussing 807 of the Rookie, titled Baja, where Lucy and Nyla went undercover, plus Bailan tried the long distance thing, and we even got a Miles plotline too. So we'll get to our recap after we give you a couple pieces of rookie news.
Yeah, so we got an episode description for 809 titled Fun and Games. So this airs March 2nd. Harper and Miles feel the weight of their recent mistakes while Harper is tasked with training Miles. Nolan and Selena are dispatched to a robbery call where Nolan encounters a familiar face. So now we kind of know the whole Harper training Miles thing, or
Mhm.
we know what Miles's mistake is. So that'll be good. I'm glad that we're kind of seeing Nyla's whole IA kind of like dilemma continuing on, and it's not just wrapped up in an episode or two. So,
Yeah,
and okay, the promo for next week, we see Tim's mom, right? But we
mhm.
also see Oscar.
Right.
People were speculating this familiar face is Oscar that he sees in 809.
Mm,
So like who, I don't know, maybe
no
maybe
idea.
they're just trolling us with the episode description, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to figure that out too. I was like, I don't really know who would be a familiar face for Nolan.
Like at this point,
No idea.
maybe it is Oscar and they're just not, you know, spoiling that or they don't want to
Yeah.
say it, but we see Oscar in this next episode. So I don't know. I was confused after like seeing
Hmm.
the promo and writing it down. So,
Yeah. Yeah. They also revealed the rest of the Rookie North cast, so that's exciting. There's Roy Gutierrez. He'll play Odell Chance, and who's a new rookie who's like athletic and confident, and things always come easy to him. And then there's Janet Montgomery. She will play Charlotte Drew, who is Alex's training officer, the Jay Ellis's character. Um, and Karen Fukuhara will play Leah Mizzino,
mhm.
who's Odell's training officer. And Maya Lowe will play Alora Howe, who's a new rookie chasing a recently discovered purpose. So kind of sounds a little bit like John Nolan and
Mhm.
Lucy combined, as Jennifer said earlier.
Yeah.
And then Malik Watson, who will play Mark Lewis, who's Alora's training officer. So that's in addition to Jay Ellis and Chris Sullivan, who were already announced. So
Mhm.
yeah,
It's
should be
gonna be
good.
good. It's gonna be good. I like that there's still so much diversity with the Rookie North,
Hmm.
in terms of the cast. Um, I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm curious to see how it plays out because like reading the descriptions that Deadline had, like of each character, to me, it sounds a lot like the OG cast of the Rookie, even like with Miles Penn in there too. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I'm here for it either way. So,
Yeah. I'll be interested to see like what it turns out looking
mhm,
like for the pilot and stuff.
yeah.
So
And then we meet Mama Bradford next week, like we had mentioned. Sayla Ward is portraying her.
mhm.
So that'll be fun. That'll be real fun. So, so next we'll just go right into the episode. So we have Harper and Lucy undercover with the FBI task force to start. And we open the episode with Nolan, Miles, Selena, and Lucy roll up on a call to find two women in an alley with their van. They're both deceased. Well, the one ends up passing away once they get there. Um, and then that's all that we see from that. So then the next morning we go over to Jayla's house. And Lucy comes over. She's like, sorry, I didn't want to barge in, or I didn't mean to barge in, but I just like this case is sitting with me. So they go through what Lucy and the others found the previous night. The girls were drug mules going back and forth between Baja, Mexico, and LA, doing the whole van life thing. And we find out that Lucy was also team hashtag van life,
Yeah.
which I don't I can kind of see it, but yet I'm like, all right, I need more information on that. So she dropped out of grad school, took a little bit of time to find herself, spent 9 months eating roadside burritos and showering outside. And Nyla's like, we're gonna talk about that later. And so they know who the girls could be drug mules for. The brutal attack was the cartel trying to send a message, but there were intense defensive wounds, meaning the girls fought. So Lucy is very passionate about this case. She's close to it. She wants in on it. Um, and Nyla is talking to Tim about the whole undercover operation. She's like, I need your support so I can go to Gray with it. And he's against it. He's like, well, we have no jurisdiction in Mexico. If we worked on the LA side, sure, but that's going to be tough. Um, and Nyla even brings up the FBI task force and who they're targeting, but Tim's like, you'd have to climb way high up in that food chain to get to the target. And Tim, I love how Tim was like, if Lucy is so passionate about this, why isn't she here to help fight for it? And Nyla says that, she wants it approved on its merits without using the girlfriend factor, but she will use it if she needs to. Which I feel like that line couldn't have came from anyone else but Nyla. Like, I don't know, just Nyla, her tone like really got it straight to the point. Um, and so Tim asks Nyla if she's heard back from IA, and Nyla's like, I got a notice of intent, but the hearing hasn't been scheduled yet. So she thinks that he's assuming she's using this to delay her showdown with IA. But he's wondering why she's all for this when she made it clear that she's done with long-term undercover work. And she talks about her past with it and says, if IA takes her badge, at least she'll know she spent the last of her time trying to get justice for the two victims. So Tim will support them going to the task force with this and help find resources to cover it and everything. And Tim's like, none of this matters. So if Gray says no, we then cut over to Gray, and Lucy and Nyla are both there talking to him. Nyla says very little. They, like when asked what it's going to cost, they just need an FBI agent to give the op legitimacy with the Mexican government, preferably someone who speaks Spanish, and enter Elena. I love how he just like looked over and she was like, "What?" Like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
here, just doing my work. Like, what do you need? So Lucy, Nyla, Selena, Elena, and Gray are all reviewing parts that they need to know for the undercover operation, where they'll be saying that their undercover personas, the camper turnover, the campers who have all stayed there. And so Nyla mentions that, there were receipts that showed they bought Ozempic from a local pharmacia and sold it across the border. And they think that this is how the cartel targeted them as potential mules. So Shy and Avery, their undercover personas, are, going to follow in the footsteps of Jordan and Courtney in hopes that the cartel targets them next. So Elena mentions that the Bureau's cyber unit has the ability to launch social media pages for both of them that appear to go back several years. And Elena sets them up. They get pictures on there. It's it's like a mix of personal pictures, I feel like, because the ones of Melissa, I feel like we've seen, like on her social media.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, the majority of those pictures from like Melissa's, I recognize from her Instagram, and then
Yeah.
I mean, same with Makia's though too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But then we had a couple where it was them together because
yeah.
they, Lucy mentions that Shy met the love of her life 2 years ago and they've been joined at the hip ever since, and that being Avery. So we hear where they're both from and how they got to LA. There's pictures and videos of Nyla and Lucy in previous hashtag van life adventures and together being all couple like, playing guitar, like surfing, all of that. So we see Lucy and Tim talking in bed the morning before she leaves, or the morning that she does leave. And she says that the undercover op will be 4 weeks minimum. And he still seems hesitant with it, saying, she just moved in, seems like she's moving out already. I understand where he's like, no, like we don't have jurisdiction and stuff, but I think it's just a mask. Like he's saying that because they really don't, but like I think it's just a mask. Like he's always kind of been hesitant with Lucy going undercover, but now that they're a couple again and like they're really like solid, he is really feeling like the hesitant side of her going undercover. Um, but I mean, like she's got this, and she's with Nyla. Like these two together undercover are unstoppable. Like they're fine.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know why he's like, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but
yeah.
it's like, if he knew he was gonna like be there anyway, I mean, not like right there, but like a part of the whole thing, then like, what the heck's he worried about?
I
Like,
wonder, like, if
I don't know.
they knew though at that point. I mean, surely they
Yeah.
did because they would have to, like, kind of figure out some logistics, but maybe they didn't. Because yeah, you're right. Like, why would he be so worried about it? But I think he's just always gonna be worried. Like, even when
Yeah.
she's just
Probably.
out patrolling, like he's gonna be worried.
Yeah.
Which season one, Tim Bradford couldn't tell him that. I mean, like he would obviously be worried, but he's just different.
Yeah.
Um, so we, then go over to Nyla's or Lucy's like, just think of it as a way to play video games all weekend with the volume up and everything. And he's like, you think that you make my life sound so boring and like empty. And they're just really cute. And I'm like, I just love the little crumbs that we keep getting of them. Like we don't
Yeah.
even need anything major. It's just little crumbs that we just keep getting. So we go over to Jayla's house and we see Nyla saying bye to Leah and James, and Lucy stops by to pick her up, and Nyla walks out and she's feeling all of the feelings. Just because of like she has been undercover in so long, and like it's everything that she like went through before is coming back to her again. But then also probably the IA stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so Lucy helps comfort her, telling her it'll all be okay and it'll be worth it. And so then Lucy and Nyla are driving. And Nyla's like, so why did you drop out of grad school? Like, I know that's been eating Nyla alive. That like she's been waiting to find this out because Lucy it was like, the good rookie, the one who hit all the marks and stuff in the academy and everything. So we get some backstory. Lucy talks about the panic attack that she had when talking to a professor about her career path, how her parents played a part of it, wanting her to become a doctor. And I loved when Nyla was like, "Oh, two Dr. Chens weren't enough, so they needed a third." And Lucy was like, "Actually, fifth." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, okay." Um, so the panic attack made her realize that she never made a choice for herself, and she was always just doing what her parents wanted, so she bailed. And Nyla mentions that she had issues with her parents too, but they always wanted her to be her, and she wanted to be a cop. And so Lucy mentions that she knows about the IA investigation if Nyla wants to talk about it. And Nyla's like, that's Nyla's business for later. Avery is focused on finding the next song on our perfect road trip playlist. And I just love how like Lucy was there for Nyla. Like she was like, I know there's an elephant in the room. I know that like you're, thinking about other things and, trying to think about your future here, but like I'm here if you want to talk.
Yeah.
Um, so they pull up to the campground, meet Chase. Gray and Elena are there watching from the van above as well in their best beach attire. And Selena is hidden in a ditch, fighting a losing battle against the bugs and snakes. And she's like, I thought when I agreed to this, I thought it would be Bailey and Nolan in Prague. And Gray's like, you should have read the fine print.
Yeah.
I mean, fair, fair.
Hmm.
But also, like, you had to have figured when you were looking at, like, the layout and the environment from
Yeah.
before you even went out. But I love that Selena's like, nope, I'm back up for them. It's fine. So
Yeah.
we go back to Shy and Avery and Chase, and he mentions that they do a drum circle by the fire every night. And Lucy's like, that sounds fun for Avery, but Nyla would hate every minute of it. And I just love how they like know each other so well. Like obviously they do because they work together, but I feel like I don't know, they don't necessarily work together every episode. So like we don't see that dynamic. Plus when they are working, it's serious and there's not a whole lot of fun that they have, I feel like. Um, so we see Selena continuing to fight for her life in the ditch. Elena's up monitoring things. It's great to sleep in the chair. I mean, mood, because I would be like, yeah, no, I'm getting some sleep too. Shy and
Yeah.
Avery are surfing, they're just this was a montage. There were a couple of montages this episode. So later in the episode, Nyla can't sleep. Lucy's wide awake too. We find out Lucy lived in a hatchback during her van lifetime. So she had to pitch a tent every night because Nyla's like, there's no way that you enjoyed doing this. And Lucy's like, actually, I had to pitch a tent. So like I didn't have it this luxurious. So Nyla says that James wants to go on a camping trip, but she's not sure their marriage can handle all of that. I don't know why, but I was like, okay, is the camping trip leading to a future storyline? Because like, why would she just say that?
No idea.
And then
I
we
don't
also
know
had the
because like
Glasser stuff come up.
yeah, I mean we've seen Nyla go camping before. Granted, it was like season 3,
Yeah,
I think, and that didn't go well. So I don't know.
yeah. I don't know. I thought it was an interesting thing that they brought up of like James wants them to take a family camping trip. Um, Granted, I mean where they were, like, okay, fine. But I don't know, given everything that she's going through, and then they had the Glasser, like previously they had the Glasser recap and the previously on, and they shared that on social media too, which was interesting. Um, I don't know. I just feel like that would be a really odd storyline. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like overthinking it, but surely like he wouldn't go after her with her kids and family there, but like that could be another way to like get in her head. Um,
Goodness, I hope not.
but yeah, I don't know. I just thought about it because I was like, okay, I'm storing that away for later because why are you just mentioning that? But then again, they were talking about sleeping in a van. I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking too much into it. So Nyla says she was scared to tell James that she screwed up the Glasser case badly, and Lucy asks if he lectured her about policing, but Nyla's like, no, he was actually on my side. But I just wanted to fight. Like that's what pissed me off more. Um, so Nyla talks about how she feels with everything, and she's scared that he's gonna get away with it because she let her emotions get in the way. And Lucy reminds her that Wesley's got this, and Glasser will go away to prison. So the next morning, Shy and Avery are sitting outside their van. Shy's making some jewelry when a new to us van shows up, and a man walks over. The team's able to identify him as Rafael Navarro. He also goes by Rafa, who's a mid-level lieutenant for Casa Sangre. And he mentioned seeing them at the Farmacia the week before, he tells them that everyone there does that, like in the campsite. Even him says he can't make it over the border this week, asking if they can take his product, his shopping purchase with them. So they agree. He hands over the cash along with the product. They see the cigarettes and they leave. They coordinate the handoff surveillance with Tim on the way, and we see Angela sitting in like a little burger joint diner type of thing with Tim dressed up in an apron, a headset, and a hat. And he's bringing a burger and fries to her. And one, I just love that like anytime we see, well, not anytime, but like when we see their interactions, she always has some kind of food or snack.
That's
Like I
kind of
thought
cool.
about that
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, one, I love that. Two, I love how he sets it down and he's like, do not say a word. And she's like, oh, I won't. but she snaps a picture.
Yeah.
And just the way that he's like standing there, I'm just like, oh, I know that she sent that to everyone in the station,
Yeah.
including Lucy. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, I just need to know the caption. She probably even like put it on some kind of social media account or like whatever, like after the
Hmm.
whole undercover op was done. So,
Yeah. I thought it was cool they filmed at like an actual restaurant
yeah,
that's like in LA, I guess. So
yeah,
that was cool.
yeah. I love that it was him undercover, like, dressed like posing as that. I get it though, because like Nyla and Lucy pull up to the window, Lucy and Tim flirt, of course, and she's like, I'm a sucker for a man in a uniform. Girl, you literally are cops. You work with him and he's in uniform every single day at work. But it's not an undercover operation if Lucy's not flirting with Tim in some kind of,
Right.
like it's not an undercover operation if that's not happening. So, and
True.
Nyla's like, watch it, careful. And I'm like, Nyla, come on. You're a Jennifer chipper too. Like just but I think because they were, just staying there too long or whatever. Um and we see the meet happen and they're being filmed by a blue SUV outside. It's not the LAPD's car. So they briefed him a little bit more. He ramps it up saying that it'll be 1070. Chenford shares a lingering touch when exchanging the money. And I'm just like, okay, their love language together is physical touch. Lucy's love language is definitely physical touch. You can't convince me otherwise. This episode was like full of it, and I loved every minute of it. So Nyla and Lucy slash Avery and Shai pull back up to the campsite after the drop. Chase walks up to them. Selena's back in the ditch for another day of surveillance. I love how she was like, and I go back in the ditch now.
Yeah.
Um, Elena and Gray are speculating when Rafa will make contact again. They see him pull up. Gray's in this like beach hat, and it's such a great look. It's not really a beach hat, but it's kind of, I don't know. It's a hat
Yes.
and it's a really great look. And I feel like we need to see it again in another episode.
Yeah, it was fun.
So Chase warns Shy and Avery to watch out for him. He's bad news. Rafa's like, take a walk. I gotta talk to the girls. He needs them to make another run with a bigger package. They turn it down, but he's like, you don't have a choice unless you have the LAPD to see the video of, you making the switch. Shy questions if he would really do that and out his men too, and he's like, I don't care about them. Like I have a dozen more waiting in the wings. So he says that Shy and Avery work for him now. Elena ends up getting a notification, tells Gray that when they landed there, she had border control, run all of the license plates. Turns out that Rafa didn't kill the girls, but Chase did. So Elena pulls up the camera footage of Chase driving back into Mexico 3 hours after they found Jordan and Courtney. So Gray calls Nyla, who answers the phone, and she's like, "Hi, Dad," and he
Mm.
responds, and he's like, "Daughter, Chase is the killer." I'm like, "Great, you can't add any like other like words to that." Like I don't. It was just like so cut and dry, which I get it. Like you can't be on the phone for that long, so
Mhm.
he asks her how she wants to play this, and she's like, give me a minute. She pulls Lucy around the backside of the van. She tells them that she tells Rafa they'll go after that. Nyla's like, we should hold on arresting Chase and make the drug run to LA. It's major weight, which will make for bigger arrests on the other side. I understand why she was in that mindset, just because it'll help her look better to IA. Like, right?
Yeah.
And that's what she's wanting. But Lucy reminds her that the whole point of them going down there was to get Jordan and Courtney justice, and it's the only thing that matters. And Nyla agrees, and they tell Rafa that they can't do this, walking further behind the van to get their guns and badges out. Um, Selena jumps out of the ditch. I just loved her little quips of, and I'm back in the ditch, and I'm out of the ditch. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I would really love to see Selena go undercover because I think she would kill it. I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe
I mean,
not with
especially since
Lucy.
we got like her speaking Spanish. to like
Yeah.
the men, like when they to arrest them and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Maybe not with Lucy because I don't know. I feel like to go undercover for the first time or like one of her first times, I feel like she would have to be with Nyla, like someone who's more experienced with it. Not saying that Lucy's not, but I just feel like I don't know. I just feel like they're safer with Nyla, like as a partner or something for some odd reason. Um, so the ladies get Rafa into handcuffs. Border control comes with Gray and Elena. Chase comes over and he's surprised. Honestly, I feel like he's a little like high or something, like strung out because like his expression and his like attitude and tone just kind of give like an even keeled vibe. And I'm just like,
I just think he was trying to be chill about everything so that he was
yeah,
thinking that they couldn't catch him, God forbid, because he's just some surfer dude just like standing there. And I'm like,
yeah, he might
dude, they're
have.
not dumb.
He might have. Um, so, he comes over, he's surprised. Nella and Lucy arrest him too. He's confused, ends up lying, but Elena's like, he's lying, and I have the proof. And he confesses to everything, looks at Lucy, and I loved how she was like, don't look at me. Don't look at me. Get him out of here. Like she was just so in it, and it was affecting her in a way that I feel like, yes, she had reminders of DOD come up throughout this whole case. But also, I feel like there's more to the van life backstory for her that we don't know. And that part came back to her with this and like affected her more. I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like there's more backstory there because she kind of mentioned something to Tim. So Lucy gets emotional, starts to walk away. Nyla walks up to her. She's like, it's handled. We can just hang out here, watch the water, feel our feelings. And I love that Nyla gave her that moment to just be like, unravel for a minute, but like, we can't sit here and just let everything go. Um, so Nyla and Lucy pull back up to the station. Lucy thanks Nyla for letting her do this with her. She reminds Nyla that everything's going to be all right. And, she's too good of a cop for IA to cut. So James and Leah are waiting for Nyla. We have a cute little reunion with them. Lucy watches them and drives off. And James tells Nyla that, whatever happens, they can't take away who she is and definitely can't take away what they built. I love that he's building her up so much with all of this Glasser stuff and just reminding her, like, it's a testament to your mothering that, Leah is so secure with you walking, like, you leaving or whatever, for a little bit, whatever happens, they can't take away who you are. Like, he's just building her up so much, and that's exactly what she needs at this point. So, then we go over to Lucy and Tim, and they're at home back in bed. They're just like entangled with each other this episode, and I love it. I love it. And Tim's like, van life Lucy sounds fun, but she's like, you wouldn't be able to handle that, Lucy. She says that that time in her life was mostly bad, which again I say there is more backstory there. Probably why arresting Chase hit her a little harder. In the case with the girls, like again, day of death, but also like what's the backstory here? I need to know. But all of her van life adventures led her to join the academy, and she says she just wanted to be the person that she didn't see around her, somebody who cared. And Tim then jokes that she got a TO who punished her for caring too much, and she's like, "Yeah, but in the end, I won. In the end, we won because we stuck it out and waited for Chenford to get their ish back and, their ish figured out and back together." So,
Yeah.
and Nyla and Lucy Undercover is a dynamic that I will never get tired of seeing, and I need that a lot more, truly.
Yeah.
I just loved their like personalities for their undercover personas. Like Shy was, kind of flirty, innocent. The love language was definitely touch. And like rewatching it, there were a couple moments where I was like, she has freckles on her face. Like they like, did the makeup to like portray that she has freckles. And Avery is just
Yeah.
like the smiley, friendly opposite of Nyla, which I love
Mhm.
it because that's Makia. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a solid episode. Like as far as that storyline, I really liked it. And I definitely need more of it. So I just want more of the Nyla Lucy friendship
Yeah.
because I mean, like, I feel like we got so much of it this episode, and it really showed us that they do talk. Like, I mean, everyone obviously talks in the station, but like, they know more than what we know, right? Like, they're more connected and get, like, closer than just what we see and what we think.
Mhm.
So, yeah. But
Yep. Very
take
true.
us through the miles of it all because that was a wild storyline, too.
I can't. I was like, literally as it was happening, like before like shit hit the fan, I was like, oh no, this is gonna be so bad. I was
Uh-huh.
like, just I can't. It was so crazy. And yeah. But yeah, so the Miles and Nolan slash in case you missed it, Seth is back.
I
Um
love how the rookie
so
account like drops the teasers for like a line that everyone says.
oh
And lately they've been putting like the guest star at the very last slide.
yeah. Yep.
And both times it's been Seth and or like obviously two of them have been Seth and I'm just like
Mhm.
jaw on the ground. I'm like, "Oh, he's back."
I
Actually, I
know, it's like
think actually I think the first episode that Seth came back they spoiled it in the teaser, like in the sneak peek before we even saw the dialogue
yep,
teases, but still. It's just
yep,
crazy. Crazy.
yeah, yeah. So it starts off with Miles and Nolan are brought on by Angela to survey this gang member named Keyshawn DeMarco, aka Hamster. And the place that they're assigned to is his girlfriend or baby mama, Kennedy Stowe's house. And so they're shown waiting hours on end for him to show up, and Miles is like wondering how he can kind of up his rookie game because back in Sugarland, Texas, he was able to know what was going on by like who was leaving and who was like, staying in town or talking to who and like all this stuff. Meanwhile, in LA, there's so much going on, like almost too much for him to keep track of. Um, and so he wonders if he should start like studying up on Keyshawn and the gang, like in his off time. And Nolan's like, nah, maybe you should just like take a break on, like waiting for this guy to show up and like not worry about that right now and focus your eyes on something else. So he suggests the surrounding neighborhood and where, for example, on the wall across the street, there are numbers and letters that are coded to be like gang members and signs. Like apparently there's NB for normal boys, which is Keyshawn's gang. Um, and so we see them keep surveying, waiting for Hamster to show. When this is like a time lapse, a little bit. When Penn tells Nolan that he's been looking at Hamster's movements off duty, which of course have left him exhausted on the stakeout, despite Nolan's earlier objections not to do it. Um, and of course, when Keyshawn finally does roll up on his motorcycle, Miles jumps the gun and getting out of the car or starting to get out of the car, which results in Hamster being spooked and taking off. Um, Miles chases him on foot while Nolan uses the car and calls it in. I just thought it was funny how Nolan was like calm, calmer
Hmm.
than I expected him to be, I guess. Um, so Miles unfortunately loses Hamster in the midst of a car wash, and so they're suspects in the wind. Um, and so back at the station, literally everyone's mad at Miles from Gray to Tim to Angela and like Nolan. So of course, like instead of backing off of this convoluted idea of surveying this hamster guy off the books, Miles doubles down and ropes Seth Ridley into the mix. So, um, which is just insane to me because like seconds earlier, Seth was saying, "No way, man! He's the poster child for screwing up. Like, don't do it."
Yeah.
But Miles convinces him into it otherwise. So I was like, wow, these guys are just really sharing like one brain cell today. Um, just wild.
It was so
So,
crazy how the tables turned with Seth. He was
right,
like, dude, don't go rogue. Like, look at what can happen. Which I appreciate it with the advice, but I was also like, yeah, but you went rogue in like a different way. Like
right.
Miles is gonna go rogue too, but like you actually lied about everything. Like your entire life, you've lied.
Yeah.
Whereas Miles is just like going in a little too much on this case. Like, I don't know. They
Yeah.
weren't really related, but yet I was kind of like, all right, well, I appreciate that Seth is giving him the advice, but at the
Yep.
same
Then he didn't
time,
stick with it anyway. So it's like,
yeah,
what was the
no,
point?
no.
But anyway, so on their own stakeout off duty, Miles and Seth aren't successful either, as the time lapse shows them on site for like 2 weeks. This was just the episode of like one person falling asleep during watching something happen or
Hmm.
waiting for something to happen, and then the other one stays awake
Yeah,
in the car, in a van, wherever. Um, so when Seth says that he's going to the 7-Eleven to like get stuff, that's when Miles actually sees Kennedy in the window of her house, and then before he knows it, Keyshawn's got a gun pointed at him through the driver's side window.
yeah,
So he's forced out of the car, forced to dump his gun and put handcuffs on. Even when Kennedy comes out and confronts Keyshawn, like saying, he can't, he can't kill a cop. And I was like, girl, why are you here right now? Like, go inside. Like, I thought he was gonna like the whole time that she was out there. I thought that he was gonna like point the gun on her, and then like Miles was gonna use that as an opportunity to like, I don't know, hit him in the face or something and like get
yeah,
the gun away or something. That's what I was like waiting for. But then she turned around and started walking away, and I was like, okay, never mind.
yeah,
Um, anyway, so Miles is then forced into the passenger side of the van while or his SUV while Hamster drives off. And Seth sees this all go down and calls Nolan, who's on his way, and it's assumed that Nolan's calling Tim too, because then he's like on the phone after hanging up with Seth. Um, then you see Seth jumping in front of the car, um, acting like he got, hit by the car, which gives Miles time to like crush Hamster's gun arm, and then Ridley gets Keyshawn out of the car and on the ground as Nolan, Tim, and backup arrive. Uh, and so Penn thanks Ridley for saving his life. Um, then it cuts over to Tim asking Nolan if Miles was badly hurt, and he's like, no, not too bad. So Tim says he doesn't have to wait to yell at him, and he's pissed off, obviously, at Miles for doing this off the books work and involving Seth, who's a civilian. Uh, and Tim shuts down both of their attempts to explain everything and tells Miles he's done, as in like done in the program.
hmm,
Um, which I was like shocked. I was like,
yeah,
what? No way.
yeah,
Um, but towards the end of the episode, Nolan finds Penn to tell him that he convinced Tim to only put him on leave for 2 weeks and get a 6-month extension in the FTO program instead of total expulsion. Um, Miles is grateful, which I mean, yeah, he should be, but also the whole time that this conversation was happening, I was like, pot meat kettle, because John got an extension too after the whole Armstrong thing in
yeah,
301 and the events that led up through 301. So I was like, okay, he's really wanting to talk. Like, hello.
right,
Like, I don't know. I guess it's like John being like, you know, training officer Nolan. So he like, do as he says, not as he does type of thing.
hmm,
Um, but I just thought it was so like kind of funny, honestly, because I was like, I can't take you seriously right now. Because I
yeah,
was like, you literally the same thing happened to you. I mean, not the exact same thing, but still. Like,
Yeah.
because I can just remember clear as day, like Gray reprimanding him and being like, "Hey, you got this on your record now, and you have to stay in the thing for like what ended up being the whole rest of the third season." Um, so
Well, and like a few episodes ago, he was just kind of being like the chaotic, like
yeah,
messy TO. And now he's just like flipped a
right,
switch.
yeah,
Okay. I do kind of find it interesting. Like, obviously, Nolan was like, you had Seth, a civilian here, and even kind of Tim was like that too. But even then, they
right.
didn't really like bat an eye at Seth. They weren't like, oh, like, we don't want to talk to you, or like, you know.
Well, Tim
Um,
was like, "No one's talking to you,"
right.
but that was probably Tim.
Yeah,
Tim just being
that was
Tim.
just Tim Bradford. He was like pissed. I mean, I would be too, getting a call like that in the middle of the night, like knowing that there was an officer that like got involved with all this. But I don't know. It was just interesting to me how they acknowledged Seth being there, but it wasn't like, I don't know. It was more, the anger was more directed at Miles, right? Rightfully
Yeah,
so, because of just because like he's the officer, on duty. Seth obviously isn't, which also begs the question of like, if Seth was to get involved with something, like say Seth like, ambushed Hamster and and was like trying to save Miles and stuff that way, when he had the gun pointed at his head. If something happened to Seth, wouldn't that be like really bad for Penn?
I mean,
Probably.
probably unless Seth were successful, which they're
Yeah.
like civilian arrests or something, or
Yeah.
within some laws that civilians can take action or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. I can't
So I don't
remember.
know.
I saw something about it on a different show, but
I
yeah, I don't
didn't
know.
I don't know. I didn't mind Seth being there and like giving Miles advice, but then when I saw him in the car, I was like, wait a minute, aren't we crossing like so many lines right now?
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like Seth is like a cop in another district or whatever, right? He
right.
actually got fired because of his actions. Like, I don't know. I'm surprised to that Miles did get off the hook like that, though, for even just bringing Seth around into it, you know?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, I wish we could have seen the conversation that Nolan had because I mean, I get that he can be like persuasive, but like Tim was ready to like knock someone out. He was so like fucking upset
yeah,
that Miles did that. And so I was just like, how can Nolan of all people? Because like, well, it probably was in that same episode when you were saying that he was being a chaotic TO because Tim was like, I remember Tim like kind of getting mad at Nolan and being like, hey, you need to like keep Miles in line. So um and that was only a few episodes ago. So it's like I don't really know what Nolan could have possibly said to convince Tim to have it go from Miles being quote done unquote to oh just kidding, it's just going to be a 6 month extension and you get 2 weeks off. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, just kind of wish we could have seen that conversation, but that is okay. Um, yeah, overall, it was like a decent plot line. I just kind of wish, like, I don't know. I mean, it was a good moment for like Nolan to be like, oh, okay, you're maturing. You need to show us that though. And I'm like, again, dude, like, you're one to talk because like Nolan still made stupid mistakes, even as a training officer. Um, but hopefully Miles turns over a new leaf and it all works out for him in the 6 months that he's extended in the program. So yeah, I don't know. But then we also had Bailan to talk about a little bit anyway. So for them, we first see Bailey and John walk out into the living area towards the door with like her suitcase because apparently it's the trial run of Bailey leaving for 5 days to DC and also looking into apartments there, apparently. And on her way out, John reminds her about her night guard and contact lens stuff because she always forgets it. Apparently, he's learned to order that in 4 different languages. So I'm like, yay, good for him. Like, husband of the year. I don't know. Like, it was just kind of random. Like,
Yeah. And like,
because
where all have they traveled that he needs to
yeah,
know that in four languages? I mean, wherever they went on their honeymoon and Prague, but like, where have they traveled?
no idea. No idea. And it just like kind of, I don't know. It was just like, I get it was supposed to be like, comedic and like stuff just to add something, but I was like, Bailey's had to keep track of how many of her odd jobs she's had. Like, you're
Yeah.
telling me she can't keep track of a night guard and contact lenses? Like, what is going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah. But
Um,
yet she's gonna go like work for the Pentagon in DC.
yeah, I don't know. It was just like, no, it was just random. I don't know.
I mean, I guess like those minute things you will easily lose, right? Like you are
Yeah.
going to keep track of the bigger things,
Hmm.
but still crazy, you
Right.
know?
Yeah. And again, the rookie must be a fan of time lapses in this episode because we see Bailey come back and then leave again. When she first came back, though, and they were like uh, embracing her, he was like picking her up or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And like the one thing, and then I was like waiting for them to start speaking, and then they didn't, and I was like, oh, okay, it's one of those like montage things again. And I was like, all right, fine. Um, because then we saw her leave, again, presumably for another trip where she stays for the rest of the episode because we only see them occasionally talk on FaceTime. And again, it's not like we actually hear what they're saying, which
Yeah.
I always think is so interesting. The TV and film nerd in me always like wants to know how they film those scenes where either like they're actually speaking, but they know that the audience won't hear what they're saying,
Yeah.
or they're like background actors in a scene and they have to like act like they're having a conversation when
Yeah.
like main characters are actually speaking. I've just always been curious about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, like the time lapse confused me because for a minute I was like, wait a minute, she's back? Like she just left. That wasn't 5 days.
right.
And I thought that the time lapse, I thought that the Miles storyline and the whole like Nyla Lucy Undercover was all the same storyline. Um, but then in rewatching it, I was like, no, it's not. It's not the same. But like the time lapses and cutting back and forth made it seem like that, you know?
Yeah. Because like the
So
Miles thing was like a couple weeks when he was
yeah,
on the stakeout with Seth anyway. And then so it's assumed like maybe him and Nolan were there for like a couple weeks or like a week or something like
yeah,
earlier. But yeah, I don't know. It didn't like quite match up. Yeah, like you said. Um, and then we also see John like sleeping alone for a bit too. And I was like, okay, that's great. I don't really care though. I was like, why is this here?
yeah,
Like, I didn't really get it. I was like, we know he's like by himself.
right.
Um, I don't know, it was just random. Um, at the end of the episode though, we do see that Bailey's ordered some stuff to John's house, like flowers and beer and cake. Well, the flowers were for her. Because if she can't be there, she wanted him to have more of his favorite things. Um, so they stay up and eat cake together over FaceTime before going to bed. So like obviously they're making long distance work for them. Um, in my brain, when I first saw all those packages and John was just like coming up to his door, I thought it was gonna be like something scary or like ominous or something.
Yeah,
I didn't realize it was like, oh, Bailey ordered a bunch of stuff. Like, duh, we've seen her do that before, ordering things off Amazon and, all that stuff. So, like, I don't know. It was just like funny though. Like, beer and cake. What an odd combination.
yeah,
But anyway, so, yeah, Phelan's making things work for sure. I don't know. like I said, it was just odd to see the like montage or time lapse, whatever you want to call it, like happen. I mean, I can understand the pattern in the episode, but again, it was just like so quick for them. I didn't really know if
Yeah.
it was like necessarily needed. Um, but
Yeah, it
that's
was
okay.
just kind of like an added storyline that I felt like we didn't really need this episode, but it did add to the whole like time lapse thing.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Do you have any other thoughts on this episode?
I don't think so. It was just a really good episode. This season, like, there's no bad episodes so far. There
Mhm.
really isn't. And it's crazy to think that we're almost halfway through because we're
Yeah.
on 807 and they only have 18 episodes. So we're like halfway through already.
Yep.
It's crazy. No, like, I don't know. I can't believe that it's going by so fast, but yeah, at the same time, I'm like, every week a new episode comes out and it's just another hit. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. You can find us on Twitter at the Shop Talk Pod underscore or email us at shoptalktherookiepodcast@gmail.com with all of your thoughts. You can find us individually on Twitter as well. I'm jstarcade04.
And I'm at Carrie Hyman.
And we're on TikTok as well at the Shop Talk Podcast. We also have merch, shop-talk.dashery.com. So be sure to check us out there as well. We do have a sale going on until next Wednesday, so make sure to follow us. Um, we have some new merch designs coming out, one kind of tailored to this episode a little bit. But yeah, so until then, until next week, we'll be back following 808 with a new episode. So until then, bye everyone.
Bye, guys.
Go get 'em, boo.